Welcome to Above the Garage.
Hi, friends. Welcome to our discussion of episode 4 of Presumed Innocent. This episode is entitled The Burden, and it is directed by Greg Yatanis, and the cinematographer is Doug Emmett. Let's do our round of introductions and dive in.
Hi, I'm Helen.
Hi, I'm Violet.
Hi, I'm Kimberly.
And I'm Kate. So episode 4 picks up where episode 3 left off, or thereabouts. We don't get to see the conversation between Rusty and Barb, so we just see them confronting Kyle about the picture of him on a bike outside of Carolyn's house on the 19th, which was not the night of the murder, a few weeks prior to the murder, but sus all the same.
That really confused me, actually, because it seemed like it was part of the same set of photos from Michael, right?
Right.
He must have been there multiple times.
Yeah. I think Michael handed over like a ton of photos from weeks, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't even sure until later. I think Raymond says it was like a few weeks before.
Yeah.
I was confused at first too, and then I said it later.
Yeah, same.
Kyle tries to outright lie, as a 15-year-old might do. Rusty gets very angry very quickly, and Kyle admits he wanted to see where Rusty was going after hearing his parents fight about her a few months ago. Rusty is weirdly aggressive, accuses him of casing out her house. What does that even mean in the context of his 15-year-old son? It's such a weird thing to say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, Barb calls him out for it, but...
And I think it's totally logical that he would follow his parent that he thinks is cheating on his mom.
Having an affair, right. If you have the capability to do so, I would think that maybe most kids would even do that. You want to see, you know? Like, what the fuck?
Right.
But we're seeing a lot more of Rusty's angry side these days. It's interesting how he's rapidly sliding into a much shittier seeming person by episode 4, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I agree, yeah.
Rusty goes for a walk thinking about prepping for the Bunny Davis trial with Carolyn. We hear the same dramatic speech she makes in court with the same photos, but it's just Carolyn and Rusty in the office. And she asks him what he thinks, and he just answers her like a lovesick puppy rather than a useful colleague. I think you're amazing, Carolyn.
The way she looks at him at the end of that scene was really interesting.
Yeah.
Because you'd think that she would be kind of like, oh, but she's like, looks scared.
Right.
Or looks like that's kind of intense.
Is that the same shot from like the very end of the episode, maybe?
Yes.
It is?
It is, yeah.
I think it is, yeah.
Interesting. It just occurred to me.
I was wondering, I remember in the last episode that weird kind of vibey baseball thing that Kyle and Rusty had in the first episode where Rusty seemed a bit like weird towards Kyle in that baseball moment. And I don't know, I feel like there's more to this relationship than we know about or we've seen.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if he would have got that angry at his daughter if she had done the same thing.
Right. I doubt it.
Like, I'd be interested to know if he would have done it or not.
Yeah. I can't see him doing that. But then again, I couldn't have previously seen him being quite that way to Kyle, you know?
Yeah, and when he says, like, he doesn't want to talk to him, like, he wants to talk to his mum. Like, does he have outbursts like this previously, or is this just because of everything that's, going on?
Right.
I'd say there were outbursts before.
Yeah. Like maybe he's a little afraid of his dad.
Yeah, it seems that way anyway.
Yeah, it is confusing because they seem to be really close in other scenes too, though.
Yeah.
That's true.
It makes me wonder, though, if that's because of Barbara, maybe.
Yeah.
Because she always smooths things over.
Right. And the therapist said that too. Like, you've always been about
Preserving the family.
preservation of family, right? Yeah.
Preservation, yeah.
And obviously she's done very well at it, but how much has she had to navigate his anger and stuff otherwise?
I also wonder about this scene where Rusty says, you are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
If this is actually a memory or something that he wishes he would have said to her before she died. It's really hard to say at this point if things we see are memories or dreams or
Right.
regrets
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
forming into like thoughts.
Yeah. I'm trusting less of what we're seeing from his flashbacks because he's obviously losing it a bit.
Right. I kind of wondered if like having that final shot of her face was him like zeroing in on something he hadn't like noticed before too, like
Oh,
that she had fear in that scene.
Yeah.
And before he was so blinded that he was just like in love with her and not thinking about it.
Right.
And now he's remembering that she was actually kind of afraid
Oh,
or that
yeah.
she had that expression that he was not clocking the first time.
At the time. Yeah. Interesting.
yeah. Isn't there a scene later on when he walks into her house and says, why do you look so afraid?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But there are so many versions of that scene. It's like 3-4
Yeah.
versions of the scene. You really
Mhm.
don't know which one.
Right.
I loved that.
Yeah. Back home in the garage, Rusty and Barbara are talking now. Barbara wants Kyle in therapy. Rusty does not. She accuses him of interrogating his 15-year-old, and finally they fight. He even tells her she needs to take responsibility for his affair. Oh my God, I cannot tolerate her sticking with him anymore. I used to like kind of respect it, but not really. But I liked her, but now I'm like so mad.
Yeah. At first I thought, I was like, ooh, like maybe there's more to their story, as in like their problems that they had. Like obviously you shouldn't have an affair, but
She cheated first or something.
something happened. You know what I mean? But then we have found out later in the episode that it's literally that they just drifted apart. I'm like, man, what a fuckwit.
Yep.
I hate him. I hate him so much. I cannot believe he had the nerve to say that.
What did Raymond say to Dumb and Dumber? Shit fuck one, shit fuck two. Yeah, like Rusty in this scene is like a shit fuck.
3.
Yeah.
Tweedledum,
3.
Tweedledummer, Tweedledummest.
He's the Tweedledummest, yeah. But I love the shot in the garage with Rusty with the scythe above his head hanging on the wall.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like a sword of
Yeah.
Damocles
Right, ready to fall, yeah.
hanging above him. Yeah,
That's a good one.
great shot.
I like how that scene really displays what Raymond says later, where he has shame but not guilt. And it really comes out in that scene that he's trying to.
Oh yeah,
He has shame and he's trying to put the guilt on somebody else.
Yeah, no, I'm growing to hate him rapidly. Next, we're with Tommy, who, by the way, my husband would really like me to mention, is the guy from Garden State. Have you guys seen the movie Garden State?
yes.
But yeah, he's the guy that like drives them around town. I had not realized that. But onto the scene. Tommy's trying to prep the medical examiner for his time on the stand, and that's going well. Everybody seems to hate this guy, or it's just more of them expressing their affection, oddly.
Was this scene at one point? There's like the establishing shot of Chicago, and it's like really dark and stormy out. And I can't remember where that was.
I think it's.
I think that might be the next one.
It's right after this scene. Yeah.
That was gorgeous.
Yeah, my next comment is the next scene is Kyle on the train, and it's still downpouring in Chicago. Like every episode, it's been just.
I love it. It's so good.
Pouring rain. Yeah, except.
It's such a good mood for the show.
But I am like I feel like the rain line item on
The budget.
Thank you. Would be extraordinarily expensive.
Just keeps increasing.
Yeah, unless they got really lucky.
Right. And it looks so moody in this episode. That has to be something that they.
Oh.
It was definitely intentional at this
I
point.
wondered if it was even like digitally touched up or something.
Yes.
That might work.
So you noticed as well that this episode was really dark.
It gets darker each episode.
Yes.
Mhm.
I was like, fuck me, the screenshots next week.
I know. It's gonna be black screen next week, like Handmaids.
Yeah.
I was literally thinking it's like we're watching Batman at this point, like Dark Knight or something at this point. Like it's just getting darker and darker.
Yeah.
Very cool though.
It was so dark. I almost thought it was because I watched it in a different room. Like the lighting's different and the TV as well. I was like, is this the TV?
Right, like brighten your TV.
And then I swapped it and I was like, nope, it's just really dark.
Yeah.
By the last episode, like, are we going to be able to see the screen?
So the shot of Kyle on the train is pretty brief. It's just him with his bike, and it's established again how dark and rainy it is in Chicago. And then Rusty's talking to Raymond about the new evidence. He asks if he's sure Kyle didn't kill her, and that angers Rusty. Rusty's upset about the fight with Barbara, couldn't sleep last night. Raymond doesn't think she's going to leave him if she hasn't already. The glamour seems to be wearing off on Rusty from Raymond's perspective. He doesn't even have a reason for his affair, but Raymond does admit he was completely blindsided by it, as was Lorraine and probably Barbara. This Raymond part is the only reason that I'm holding on to the fact that maybe Rusty did seem like a good guy before, because now it's like seeming so much the opposite that I'm like, we were just seeing him through his own like eyes, but Raymond really liked him before, so I guess he held it together better before. And Raymond doesn't see much guilt in Rusty either. It's interesting how he defines shame as something that's self-centered and guilt more about the pain you cause others, which, like you said, Violet, we can see that. Raymond doesn't doubt that Rusty feels the self-centered shame. It's the guilt he doesn't see. Tad bit narcissistic.
I really loved that scene. I thought Raymond.
It was on point.
Yeah, it was so good.
Every line from Raymond was perfect.
Yeah.
In my notes, I wrote up that Bill Camp, this whole episode, just literally ate every scene up. Like, it was so good. Like, I was just like, Emmy, like, that's what flashed across my mind. I was like, He really was amazing this episode, and obviously previous, but the scenes as well and the way he delivered the lines.
Yeah.
And the writing for his character in particular this episode was really, really good.
Yeah. Agree. Yeah, it was perfect.
Agree.
He has a line where he says, he's talking about like people who cheat, and he says they want to have their cake, eat it, and then chalk it up to complexity. I like that line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one. And I like the one where I think he said, depression, compulsion, narcissism, I'll take any of that. Let's send you to a doctor and get a diagnosis. But my fear is it will just come back pig.
Yeah, that was great.
I like that he's being honest with him too.
Yeah, he really is now. He's telling him how he really feels now.
Yeah. Yeah.
The mic drop moment at the end was so good too. I think me and Helen were like both saying we were like applauding the scene basically when he just says, I don't doubt that you feel shame. And then it's just like end of the scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Loved that.
He's so good.
I literally went woohoo. Like literally.
Woohoo.
Because
Yeah.
it's so
You needed to hear that.
yeah, but it's also so rare to hear truth being served like that on TV.
Right.
Because it gets choked up to complexity a lot of times in TV shows, in my opinion.
Definitely.
And it's coming from his best friend. So
Mm.
I hope that adds a level of authenticity.
Yeah.
Gravitas.
Yeah, it's not like guys being guys and supporting each other and, buddy, you had an affair, but we're just going to make sure that you don't land in jail.
Get off, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he's really like, this is friendship. It's not just guys being buddies and covering each other's asses. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what I like about it too.
The whole show, Raymond has been like that kind of like very shocked by it, expressing how disappointed he is in what Rusty did. You're right, that is very unusual to show that.
And what infuriates me is that person like that is not going to be the district attorney.
I know.
Yeah.
Person like Nico is going to be the district attorney.
Right.
Which is also so like 100%
accurate.
Depiction of reality accurate. Yeah.
Right.
Unfortunately, yes.
In a lot of cases, yeah.
Yeah.
So, back at the office, Tommy's planning on calling one of their colleagues to the stand because he thinks she knew about the relationship. She's not happy with this. He's on his way in to meet with Carolyn's son Michael and his dad to iron out his story. Michael says he was there because she was his mother and he was curious. When he confronted Rusty, he swore he didn't kill her, but Michael could tell he was lying. And once, when Michael had convinced Carolyn, his mom, to meet with him for lunch, which is really fucking sad that he had to convince her. Anyway, she admitted she was scared of a man at work. Tommy's wondering if she said who this man was, which actually made me think maybe it's him.
Yep,
same.
The way he was asking. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
And Tommy even looked a little bit startled by that too. Maybe not startled, but he had he got a little more serious, a little more
He had a notable reaction to it.
Yeah.
I think it was in the last episode where we said that it's possible that maybe Tommy had a crush on Caroline or something.
Yeah.
And maybe that's part of the reason he's so, I don't know, anti-Rusty, because he didn't get
personally.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I feel like I had the reaction that you all had as well. Maybe it is him.
Yeah.
And I even thought maybe he was the one he's killed her.
Right.
That's what my reaction to this episode gave me.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he had slept with her either, whether it was a one-off or whatever, because he's, like you said, his feelings are very personal, that perhaps it goes beyond just hating Rusty for being a prick,
Right. Yeah, and they're still doing a amazing job of every scene having multiple readings. They give you just enough information that you
could go either way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Can see it both ways equally. It's good.
Yeah.
I want to say something about the discussion between Tommy and Eugenia.
Yeah.
Is her name Virginia or
Eugenia?
Eugenia.
Oh, Eugenia.
Yeah.
But you know what's so weird is that her name in real life is Virginia.
Oh,
really?
Yeah, because we paused it last night and looked to see what her name was, because Helen heard Virginia and I heard Eugenia, but I could hear the Virginia in there, so I was like, let's go clarify it.
That's so confusing.
And then
That's funny.
So I was a little bit disgusted by Tommy once again. He said to Eugenia, we're doing this for Carolyn. Remember, we're doing this for Carolyn. You daft prick.
Right.
Who was that the night before dancing to the recordings
of her? And with her dead body on display on the screen behind him. That's a very good point. Yes.
Yeah.
Ugh, gross. I do think that it's probably Tommy that was scaring her so as to thicken up the plot sauce a little. Oh, I don't like Carolyn though. Like the fact that her son had to like really convince her to have lunch with him, I think was the nail in her coffin for me.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah.
We don't know why, do we? That they.
Right.
Yeah.
We're missing a lot of information.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she never speaks about him to her, colleagues or lover. I don't know, just messed up. He's nearby. It's not like, she gave him up for adoption and this is a reaction that maybe.
I'm holding off my opinion of her, I think, until the end. I don't really know what I feel.
Yeah. It's getting slightly irritating that we know so little about Carolyn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully we get an episode where, we see some more of her.
Yeah. Then we're with Barbara back at the bar. She's obviously very disappointed to find a different bartender tending, but then the hot lemon cutter comes out and she's relieved and sits. Seems the hot lemon cutter does have a name, Clifton, not unlike another Cheers character. And he's on his way out, so Clifton joins her for a drink. They flirt about youthful idiocy and look at each other with obvious intent.
Did anybody catch what he was saying when he was explaining his tattoo?
Projection art is all I know.
E something he called it?
Oh, I Ching.
I Ching. There, that's it. I knew the musicians that were being mentioned, but I just didn't know how all of that related. So
Brian Eno and
I think she said John Cage too, but yeah, she definitely said Brian Eno.
And Brian Eno, yeah.
Yes.
I think they must be like somehow related to that I Ching.
Right.
That was a weird detail, I guess. Like I was just wondering, like, are you just trying to get more about, like, flesh out the hot lemon cutter's character a little more to say that he has this interest in music? But like, I don't.
Right.
Yeah.
The I Ching is an ancient Chinese divination text and perhaps the oldest of the Chinese classics. It contains 64 hexagrams and is used for guidance and decision making. That does not clear it up for me either. But anyway, they were flirting.
Yeah, I think it was like an intelligent, like a smart topic to flirt about, I think.
Yeah, they're both smart.
Oh, that's true. And that they both had knowledge of it, kind of, and
similar interests.
Because he didn't expect her to know what he was talking about, but she had some like frame of reference for it, and they could relate on that topic. Yeah, that's true. That's cool. Okay, so I looked up some John Cage, Brian Eno information relating to the I Ching, and it says Music of Changes is a piece for solo piano by John Cage. It is a groundbreaking piece of indeterminate music, which just means that they use chants to create the music. So basically they use this I Ching text, which is a divination system, to determine what the next part of the music will be, which is kind of interesting.
What's a divination system?
Oh, like I guess tarot or something. That's how I'm understanding it. Like something where you pull cards, because the John Cage version of it sounds like he used the I Ching to produce chance-controlled compositions. So he would ask the book questions about aspects of the composition and then use the answers to compose the music. So then the Brian Eno part of it sounds like he actually created a card deck that used I Ching.
Oh, I understand.
That they like pull a card when they're writing music if they had like a block or something. It's like various cards that would help them come up with the next part of the music. So rather than just like writing what came to mind, they would use like the chance of whatever card was pulled. And that's called Oblique Strategies. That's the name of the card deck. I don't know if it relates to anything at all in the show, but the kind of chance driving a choice seems like it could be something. I don't know.
Yeah, it could apply here.
Yeah.
Because the chances, like what kind of evidence they do find or what kind of information may pop up, and, just in context of Rusty, what kind of action then he, proceeds to.
Yeah, he's taking action based on what pops up. Kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. But then again, it's Clifton and Barbara, so.
Right. Which could be more to do with her meeting him. Like maybe it's not as much of a chance meeting as we think it is.
Oh, interesting.
Guess we'll see.
So how does this relate to Clifton's tattoo? Because he had like a kind of a pattern, like a brown kind of wheel pattern.
When you look up I Ching, it's sort of a similar pattern of lines that represent different things. Like it has like wind, fire, earth, lake, heaven, water, mountain, thunder. Like it's a pattern kind of like that. So I don't know if he maybe came up with like his own version of it. So maybe he uses this in his own art, like as a way of helping him in a similar way to the Brian, John Cage thing we were just talking about, like making the choices of what he's going to do next in his art with this. I don't know. Could be.
Yeah.
It's a cool tattoo. I like it. It looks cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Rigo calls Rusty. She's got a hit on the second semen sample left in Bunny. Not from the police databases, though. This guy sent his in voluntarily to Ancestor.com. I have no intention of leaving my semen in anyone, but their services still give me pause. Like, I have used 23andMe.
Oh my god. That was hilarious. That dude does not look like he uses Ancestry.com. I'm sorry.
I know. That's what I said later. That guy did not send
well,
it.
Maybe it was his wife, because his wife seems like a person who would have.
Oh, maybe she wants to know if there are more kids out there.
Yeah.
Maybe
like
she was
suspecting.
But you got to get someone to like spit 1,000 times into like a tube. It's very hard to. You can't do that without there.
Okay.
It's like a very exhausting like exercise. Or maybe I have less saliva than other people. I don't know. It's very annoying to me.
Oh, maybe, she said, I want to know where you come from and where our children are coming from.
Nah, that dude would have said fuck off. He's not very nice to her.
Probably. He looks like a dude who would say, fuck off.
Maybe he was trying to figure out if he had other kids.
Right? That's fair. But yeah, there is something a little like stupid feeling about sending your DNA data to anyone voluntarily, though I did it. And if I had not done it, I would never know that I wasted my life. I was meant to be an elite sprinter, according to 23andMe.
Wait, what?
Alas.
I didn't know it gave you that kind of details. That's really interesting.
It gives you like really interesting details. Like also like the fact that my husband chewing drives me out of my fucking mind is actually like a DNA thing that I can prove because it says that I have misophonia.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, this is fascinating. I didn't realize it told you things like that.
Oh, this is really fascinating. All the things it tells you is fascinating. Like whether you're more or less likely to be able to like smell asparagus and pee. All the random things.
Okay.
So it's really interesting. But also I'm like, I did just send my DNA sample like voluntarily to someone. Who knows what it could be used for.
yeah. Make sure you never commit a crime.
Or
Right.
leave your DNA on the crime scene.
Or more than like even beyond that, I don't know, another Hitler or something doesn't like Norwegian ancestry. I don't know. Just there's a lot of information now about me in a database.
Did they mention the date in this scene of the Bunny murder?
Oh, did they?
June 16th, 2019. This was very strange because it's the same date of Carolyn's murder, June 16th.
Different year?
Oh.
Same date? And they're not paying any attention to the similarities?
Earlier in the episode, they said June 16th at 9:49 p.m. was the Rusty pictures that Michael took, which was the night of the murder. And then I think in this scene, they say June 16th, 2019, Thursday night was the Bunny murder.
Wow.
That's creepy.
That is. Good observation, though. Yeah. The only date that I got was he said that that picture of Kyle was from the 19th. So I guess May 19th.
Yeah. Well, let's keep an eye on that in the next episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
So Rigo and Rusty knock on the second semen suspect's door, and his lovely wife and baby greet them. He joins them in the living room, immediately cagey, refusing to tell them where he works. Terrified when Rusty calls his wife back into the room just to threaten him. Does not deliver on said threat. And they get unceremoniously kicked out for that trick. Rigo is livid with Rusty.
Rusty was looking properly psychotic in that scene.
He was, yeah. My only note, though, was that this guy doesn't seem like he would use Ancestry.com.
Right.
Yeah, first I thought that Rusty was just being an attorney in that situation because they can be confrontational, at least what I know of attorneys from TV shows. But at the end, his eyes, his whole face was screaming psychopath.
Yes. He also, Brian asks Rusty, don't I know you from someplace? And we were saying, like, obviously he could know him from the case that's happening,
Yeah.
but there was something about the way he said it that made me wonder if they had met before in like a different context.
Yeah, I thought the same as well. I loved also how they were kind of closing in on Rusty's face throughout that scene. It just kind of showed how like mentally, I don't know.
Like unstable he was becoming.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
That's true. That was a good cinematography choice for sure.
Rusty's dreams that night seem rather damning. Why do you look so scared, he asks Carolyn, between shots of the fireplace poker and a bloody scalp. He wakes up from his dream when his dream son runs into a car on his bike. Something woke him up, though, outside, so he goes looking for Barbara, who's scrubbing Kyle's bike like his life depends on it. And when Rusty tries to calm her, she very sadly says, "Rusty, sometimes I think you forget our son is black." And she looks so scared. Again, amazing performance by her. Very sad fact that she states.
And it's interesting, too, that they show again, like earlier, I guess in episode 1, when Rusty was cleaning his car, and we were all like, that looks really guilty. But also, if you were thinking that you might be accused.
But it makes sense, yeah.
So she's doing that now here, where it's like on the other side of it. Like if Rusty is guilty, that explains it. But she doesn't really think her son did it. She just doesn't want him to be accused of it.
Yeah.
They force Kyle into therapy with their therapist, and he's not giving an inch, except to say a lot worse shit has happened since I saw him walk into her house. The therapist knows she's in over her head and essentially quits therapying everyone but Barbara, and suggests maybe Barbara doesn't really want to stay with her husband, and she's just kind of shut down in self-defense mode at the moment. Your husband fell in love with another woman, and he's now facing trial for killing her. You need your own therapist.
It's just so true what she said, that usually a lot of the time people try and keep it together for their kids, and then, once they're gone, that's it. And,
right.
Yeah. In reality.
And it just breeds resentment and anger, yeah.
Yeah. Everyone might have been happier if they had actually gone their separate ways.
Right. Yeah.
I think about that a lot because I feel like people think that, stay together for the kids. And it's like, so your kids can watch you fight, or so your kids can watch you have an unhealthy relationship.
Right. The friends I've seen divorced with kids, like, everybody's so much better off. Everybody. Both parents are better parents. The kids are happier. I don't know. It's just a very silly reason to try and force a marriage to stay together.
But it seems to me in this case that Barbara is really doing probably most of the work and doing a great job at
parenting,
keeping the family. Like when we see them in the beginning, they don't seem like family with such secrets.
No, yeah, they're literally cuddling each other. Like even the 15-year-old boy, like laying on the dad, and it's obviously a very close family.
So there's not this undertone of a like hatred or mistrust or something. So
the kids aren't seeing any sort of
probably Barbara most of the time succeeding
definitely
with keeping the family, not just for the sake of family, but for having a family that is warm and loving.
Overcompensating too, because it's been like they make it clear that he's been absent. He doesn't come home from work because he's in the wrong frame of mind, thinking about Carolyn. So yeah, like you said, she's doing all the work, I think. Do you think she's in love with him? Like, I question if you could be as mature as she has in the wake of all this, if she was like really, truly in love with him. I don't know.
I mean, they've been together for so long, right? Like since they were 20 or whatever. So
Jaden is 17,
I think.
Yeah. So 18 years at least.
Yeah.
Right.
Nico's once again trying to reel in Tommy. He doesn't think calling in a hostile colleague, Eugenia, is how they're going to win this case. Nico's worried. He thinks they must have a reason to call for a meeting for a plea bargain later. You know how OT stays in his American accent on the Handmaid's set? Do you think he stays in his Nico accent on this set?
He does, because I read in an interview where Nana, I think her name is, who plays Rigo. She was saying that she didn't even realize OT was British because that's the accent he was using.
Yeah, that's what people on Handmaid said too.
Yeah,
I think it's because it might be easier just between scenes, like not to change. I mean, I don't know how people change their accents because I'm like absolute trash.
Yeah, no, I have no other accents on hand.
So it's amazing to me how people like change their accent or.
But I think that he's very good in this role and consistent.
In the Nico and Tommy scene, there was a moment where Tommy, I think he says Eugenia was in love with him.
Yeah, he does say that.
Which was like, do you think that there was any truth to that, or was he just like,
I don't think so.
It could be another thing where Tommy is literally just that jealous of Rusty as well. Like, same with if he liked Carolyn and he just thinks, oh, well, all the girls like Rusty. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
I guess I actually thought maybe it was true because later on she tells Raymond to make sure to tell Rusty that she has no intention of testifying against him. I mean, that could just be a friend thing too.
Yeah.
Certainly not proof of anything, right?
Which I think it's like Tommy is just twisting every female character into being in love with him, or
That's obnoxious. Yeah.
I mean, don't ever see anything that would indicate that in any way before, because Eugenia is in the first and second episode. We don't see her any kind of
Yeah.
any kind of indication, in my opinion.
So it's probably just Tommy being Tommy.
Yep, I think so.
Maya is asking Rusty about that night again. Rusty says they were staying late under the pretense of working on Raymond's campaign, though in reality he was just harassing Carolyn via text and growing angrier and angrier when she didn't respond. He went to a bar after work, didn't feel like he was in the right mindset to go home, and he doesn't remember much from it. Thinks maybe he had a bit too much to drink, but can't really remember. That's very damning. His text, by the way, that we can see on screen read, "Are you home? Please just answer me. Can you just reply to me? I don't understand. We said we'd find a way to make this easy, and this isn't feeling easy to me. This is feeling like I'm the one in contact and you're the one ghosting. I've gone out of my way all week, and I feel like you're just completely shutting me down. See? Are you home? Is someone there with you?" And then finally she responds, "Jesus Christ, Rusty, just come over." That was at 9:24 p.m., and he arrived at her house at 9:49 per Michael's photos. Maya asks what happened, and he's remembering and repeating what happened. The flashbacks now are angry, desperate. She slaps him. He's consoling her at one point. He tells Maya just that they mostly argued because he wanted to get back together and she didn't, and that was pretty much it. Maya's face is so funny here. Like, she thinks this dude is a psychopath, clearly.
Yes, she really does.
Is not concealing it. She points out he was at her house for 51 minutes. That's a pretty long argument. I like her. And he says they kiss goodbye. Carolyn knew it would give him hope, and it worked. It got him to the car and got him home, where he realized she was just being cruel. She was fucking cruel. While I agree that's kind of how she seems to me, that's perhaps because I've only seen her from his perspective.
Right.
Yeah, I personally didn't like that at all, really. It's like she's just blaming her for his absolute psycho behavior.
Oh, yeah. No, it's fucked up. Yeah.
This is the part where we get the different flashes of the scenes, though, which was really cool. Where it showed it in multiple different versions of it. That was really cool.
Right.
Was one flash where like she opens the door and then they kiss, and then I think the other one was she was like, no, like backing off.
I think it was like, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
It seemed like each one was like a slightly different level of extremity of, oh, she's welcoming him in. Oh, she kind of wants him to leave. Oh, she's telling him to fuck off. Like it was, like escalating versions of it.
Yeah, so Raymond comes in for a debrief next and asks what she thinks of putting Rusty on the stand. She unequivocally answers, "There's no way we let that man anywhere near the chair." He's really coming off like creepier and creepier every fucking hour.
That man part, I loved that because it just sounds like she thinks he's totally insane. That man, that crazy man.
I like how Raymond's looking kind of unkempt and needs a shave. I like the accurate makeup and such.
I just want to give him a big hug.
No, I know.
He feels like a big teddy bear.
I thought it was convenient for Rusty to say he had been drinking and doesn't remember a lot, because I don't think you can get that hammered in like 45 minutes. I don't know. You have to try.
Well, take my beer.
I don't know. And then, drive over for 15 minutes without causing an accident.
That is true. Yeah.
I think a lot of people black out and drive.
Yeah, there's some kind of like autopilot happening.
Right.
Like your body's going through the motions, but your mind is not recording.
Do we know for a fact that he drove himself? And the only reason why I'm asking this is because that adds another asshole component to him if he drove his car drunk.
I don't think that we do. I don't think actually that we do. Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe he took an Uber and Lyft or something, or a taxi.
Yeah, I think he drove them. I don't think we know, but I get the impression.
But him stuttering and thinking and looking left and right and left again before saying anything is, I don't know if it's because he doesn't remember or if he's like grasping for any kind of explanation that would make sense.
I kind of wondered too if he actually is, like, because he's done so much sort of coloring over their relationship in his mind, if he's actually trying to be like, what really happened? And that would kind of fit with like the moment that I was saying before, like where he sees her looking afraid.
Yeah.
And he's kind of remembering it. So it's like, I wondered if he was going through the scene in his head in that moment and saying like, what actually was the vibe here? Was I misreading it?
Which is what fits, because he says what happened over and over again,
Yeah.
Like he is actually either trying to work it out or trying to make something up. Yeah. I think it's interesting how he's not even like at all concerned about her judging him, Maya. You know, like she's just like blown away by the things he's saying and the way he's saying them, and he's in his own world, like not even concerned.
So Violet, so you're saying he's slowly coming to the realization that he overreacted many times with Carolyn, or was misinterpreting, like finally understanding what she was trying to tell him throughout the relationship. Interesting.
Right. That he's like seeing her perspective, like looking back on it and realizing that it was more one-sided than he thought, or that he was misreading how she felt. I don't know.
I also, we'll get there, but I wondered at the very last flash of her and that look again as he's like beating the shit out of the seaman guy. Is that him? Like, is that him? Is that him remembering like, oh shit, I'm really violent? Or like suddenly, and I don't know what that face was supposed to mean.
It reminded me a bit of when we saw like him trying to drown her in the pool.
Yeah.
That kind of flash of the trying to kill her.
Of this anger that has no way to get out at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So Rusty and Radzer are both on each other's cases. Radzer is drinking liquor out of a paper bag in his car as he Googles Rusty. Back at the office, the medical examiner hands off a report to Tommy at the elevator that pleases Tommy. And back at his house, Rusty thinks about talking to Kyle as he walks by his room, but keeps walking. Instead, he calls Barb, who lies that she's at the market when in fact she's flirting at the bar again. Clifton gives Barb his number in case she ever wants to talk. And it's supremely disappointing in the next moments when she's having sex to see the too light skin attached to her. She looks disgusted with herself or her partner once she's gotten past the fun part. Barbara.
I got so annoyed. Well, I mean,
me too.
They totally did a good job of tricking us.
Right. Yep. They made you think it was Clifton.
Yeah, they tricked us so bad. I was like, yeah, she's getting it. And then I'm like, damn, it's only Rusty.
They did a very good job because I was very like annoyed and angry, and as soon as you see it's him.
I think it makes so much sense for her character though, because she's been so devoted to this relationship for so long that taking that step and in her mind, I guess cheating, even though at this point, what even is that? But on her side of it, because are they even really together? I don't know. I guess they are, but but like, she really wanted to do it, I think. And that's why she went home and had sex with Rusty.
She used Rusty, but still.
She's definitely thinking of the HLC, hot lemon brother.
Totally.
Right. Yeah. Who she wanted, but I just hate her giving that to Rusty. I hate it.
He doesn't deserve it, that's for sure.
Yeah. He will misinterpret it, probably.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But I also thought that she, again, is doing this in a way for the family because she doesn't want to risk sleeping with a random guy who may, make a thing out of it. Like, he can give it to the public. Like, this could get out that the wife is not supporting.
Yeah, and that's bad for her kids.
Yeah.
Right.
So
the kids don't need that. But
there again, the family's priority. And I don't know. I mean, I understand her why she did it from both perspectives, like the physical and the emotional, but I wish it went the other way just for her sake.
Right. She's got to prioritize herself at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe she's heading in that direction though.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like a step that, she's dipping her toe, seeing how that would feel like maybe.
Right.
Yeah. Just going back to the scene where Rusty walked by Kyle's door and Kyle was sitting at his desk and you could see through the open door.
Yeah.
This is like not even important to say. I just had written down that he has a Stereolab poster on his wall and I like that band.
Yeah. I also noticed that. I thought you might.
It's like Kyle has good musical taste. But you had a comment on that, Helen, right? On that scene?
Yeah, it was like a red flag to me about Rusty again, because it felt like he stopped at the door because he knew this is the moment he should probably apologize for his behavior the night before. And then he thinks other of it and leaves. So it's like his ego taking over again. Like, I'm not gonna apologize to a kid.
To my son. Yeah.
To my son, right? And then while he was screaming at him, he said, "I'm your father. Like you owe me your honesty, but I don't owe you my honesty. Like, you
Right.
don't deserve my honesty or my apology.
Fucked up.
Yeah. So that was something that's said about Rusty. Yeah.
Definitely.
And now in the plea meeting with Nico, Tommy, and Raymond, Raymond is at least pretending that they have the upper hand. He acknowledges that the prosecution has some stuff, but not enough, all circumstantial. He wants them to give Rusty 3 years on the obstruction charge. They're offended, but let him go on for a bit before sending the report they just got down his way and looking smug as fuck.
I can't believe they let him go on. Like, they loved letting him go on for so long.
They're getting off on it.
Like, the way, like, I think it was Nico pushed the paper over. He's like, here you go, have this.
Yeah.
I'm loving this right now.
I loved Raymond saying, he's like whispered pettiness towards Tommy.
Yeah.
I can see that someone's been instructed not to speak, and he like whispers it to him.
Yeah.
Like he's talking to a child.
And he can't respond. I love that too. It's so funny. It's so funny.
Also, calling the case Nothing Burger was like
Nothing burger.
cherry on top on Raymond, top on beautiful.
He also calls him like a nickel and dime, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that's like trying to offend, but what would that actually mean? A nickel and dime?
I think it means that like if you're nickel and diming someone, it means you're just like looking for little things, like you're
unimportant things.
Right.
Yeah, I have a very hard time explaining it or necessarily understanding it, I guess. I just know it's an insult involving small things.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out how it applies here.
When you say you're nickel and diming, it means you're being cheap, right?
Right.
You're saying like, oh, I don't want to pay $100. I want to pay $98 for that or whatever. That's nickel and diming.
Right. But in this context, what does it mean exactly? I can't say. Going after like the smaller, like every little petty thing. I don't know.
Being petty might be kind of the right way to explain it.
Were you all surprised when he wanted to take the obstruction charge? Of like, that's still 3 years in jail. Like, if he still thinks he, didn't do it.
I wonder if he's discussed it with Rusty.
I doubt it. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think Rusty would happily take 3 years, but
no, I don't.
It's weird almost that because he says, I'm offering you an escape hatch, but he actually comes across kind of desperate, don't you think? Like the fact that he's even asking for the plea makes it seem like maybe he does think he did it.
Yeah. I think he knows now he can't put him on the stand and that he's acting like a psychopath. So
right, good point.
It's probably affecting him. I also want to point out that his wife Flo also used the term escape hatch to Barbara regarding sleeping with the hot lemon cutter.
Since we're talking about them, I just realized yesterday that Bill Camp and Elizabeth Marvel, who plays his wife Lorraine, married in real life, and I thought that was cute.
I didn't know that till you told me. That makes me happy. I'm very happy.
Yeah.
This is a lovely piece of information. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can tell that they have that chemistry too now that now that I know that in their scenes.
It feels like what their actual marriage would feel like. Yeah. Not that I know, obviously, but it's just
hopefully not with this kind of situation. But
yeah.
No, not this tension.
We don't want them in this predicament.
No.
No. It's very cute. I like them together.
Can you just say what the paper says and stuff?
All right.
The best I could do with coming up with what it said was DNA profile consistent with a single source.
Yeah, so he calls him with it in another scene.
Yeah.
Post-sex, Rusty and Barbara are hanging out by the pool. Barbara's asking if that's the kind of sex he had with Carolyn, the kind they just had. She asks Rusty if he ever asked himself what he was willing to lose. And, of course, Rusty blames it on her. They were so far apart, him and Barbara. Carolyn woke something up in him. And then she admits he was right when he said it was partly her fault. That part bothered me. Her maturity knows no bounds. It's way too much. Raymond calls then and tells Rusty he's fucked anew. His skin was found under Carolyn's fingernails. Rusty is adamant enough here that it's planted evidence that I kind of believed him. Because
every other time, he just like...
he's accepted.
Right, he just says like, yep, that's true, I was at her house. Yeah, like...
He tells his wife, right? Yeah, and so this was a very different reaction. But at the same time, there's screaming, there's pounding on the door, his daughter's scared, Raymond's screaming through the phone. For some reason, Rusty's telling Barbara not to call the police, which is insane. And it's just mass chaos until the sound kind of checks out through somebody's ears.
I feel like it was the daughter, but...
Yeah. I think it was the shot was on her when it happened too. Finally, Rusty pulls the door open and just starts pounding on Razzer, and we're left with Carolyn's face at the end. So yeah, thoughts on all of that?
I feel like they've done a really good job with the show of having these big moments at the end of each episode where you're just like, what the fuck? But not in a cheap way, or it's not like a twist that you feel is like unearned or something. Like it's very naturally progressing.
Well, even Dave noticed. Dave's only watched 3 episodes, but he was like brushing his teeth when I was going to start recording, and he's like, just wait a minute. I don't want you to spoil whatever the last cliffhanger was, because he hasn't seen the episode. I was like, oh, you're quick to observe that pattern.
Yeah, and it almost feels like the end of like book chapters or something. And I think like TV shows don't do a great job of that typically, in my opinion. Like they'll just, even if it's like one long, it's one long story here too, but it just feels more like this is the chapter where they find out about this. This is the chapter where this happens. And it's kind of nice pacing.
But without being too literal.
It's
like sprinkled over. And the medical examiner pops up throughout the episode. He's at the beginning, then he's there with the file. And then at the end, the information. So the twist doesn't come from out of nowhere.
Right.
But you have stuff leading to it, even if you really don't know what it's going to be.
It's being built in the background.
But you don't feel blindsided. You don't feel blindsided by the twist.
Yeah.
And I wonder about the medical examiner, because he was kind of aggressive towards Rusty, but then he was also aggressive towards Tommy.
Yeah.
And in both cases, he said, I'm a medical doctor. You need to respect me. And the way he handed over the file, it was really hard to say if it was, here, you dickhead, now you have your evidence. Or here, you dickhead, now I did your job for you in a way that I planted something. I don't know. It was really hard to say what the medical examiner, how this cookie crumbles.
Right.
I'm
surprised too if Rusty can't remember that well from the night, like, and that he's even that shocked that she has his skin under his nails. Because even without trying to murder someone, you could end up with skin under your nails. But anyway, he is very adamant that it is planned.
I did wonder that if they did had sex the night before at the office. Though, I don't know, it's probably lawyer attire, but to me, it looks like they were wearing similar clothes in the episode before that when they were fucking on the floor. If it's maybe the same night or if it was the night before.
I mean, they said she didn't have semen, right?
No.
So I think she would still have it.
I was just wondering that if it could be from them having sex the night before.
Right.
Like if she scratched him during that.
Yeah. And I mean, you can like perfectly remove every piece of skin from under your nose, every piece of dirt, like you're
without scrubbing the shit, like scrubbing them purposefully,
Yeah, like after the shower, you're not squeaky clean, that you have nothing under your nails, like
So if I just touched someone, would that mean I would have someone's DNA skin, or would I literally have to scratch them to get that?
I think you have to scratch them. I mean, they might have skin sloughing off. Is that
scratch
a word?
The top layer or something? Yeah.
Right.
According to Will Garner from The Good Wife, yes, touching someone transfer DNA onto you. Because this skin loses scales all the time. So when you touch someone, it gets stuck to you.
Interesting.
But you'll have to talk to, no, you can't talk to Will Garner because he's dead, sadly.
We can talk to Josh Charles. I'll call him up.
We can talk to Josh Charles. Yes, let's get him on the horn.
On the horn. I do wonder though with Rusty's memory as well, like they did seem to be pushing each other maybe back and forth, or she pushed him or whatever. So it's definitely possible that it could be legitimate. Like,
I don't think it'd be that shocking.
But also, do we know how long it's been now since the day she died?
I haven't been very clear, I don't think, about that, but you would think maybe
a couple of weeks.
Or a couple of weeks is what I was thinking.
Yeah, because they were already at court. They had a meeting with the judge afterwards with the piles of evidence and stuff like that. So I'll say 3 to 4 weeks, probably minimum.
I think another piece of the timeline that I'm unclear on was how long like the election was going on, how long Rusty had the case and sat on it and let it.
Good point.
I think they mentioned it in the first episode. I think it's something 2 or 3 weeks. Till
the election. Or
I think there is a conversation like Raymond losing his job or things getting different like in 2 weeks time or something like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's probably been a month or more now.
Yeah. I guess like I asked because he could like look at his body and be like, I'm scratched, but it's like way too far gone, probably.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm.
Dave would like me to ask everyone at the end of every episode who you think did it. So, who do you think did it at this point in the show?
My bet is on Rusty.
Rusty, yeah.
I say Tommy today.
Yeah, in today's episode, I think Tommy, but I think ultimately, I think maybe they're trying to push us away a little bit from Rusty, and I think it will probably end up being him.
Right.
Yeah, it's really hard with this show because they give us someone kind of new every week
Mm.
Yeah.
to
So you assume it's not them, sort of, because it's so early on.
yeah, which is great because like then you're just like your mind is just thinking about it all the time. So
Well, and once you have this many people that could possibly have done it too, then it becomes like equally likely that any of them
Yeah.
could or could not have. Like it's,
Mm.
you know, if they're like pushing one specific person, then you'd be like, okay, well, it's probably not them because they're pushing them too much early on.
Yeah.
yeah,
But we've bounced around through so many different
So many
people at this point that it could be that it's like, well, it could be any of them. And it wouldn't feel
Shocking.
like a letdown if it was any of the people that they've
yeah,
mentioned so far. Like
Did you pick your horse?
I didn't pick one, but I think that it would be interesting if it was Tommy, and I think it would make sense. But
It's kind of cool because like Rusty was in that same position before,
yeah,
and then it seemed like he did it, and now I don't know. That whole department needs
a clean out.
some new staff.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. I was thinking of it like in Scrabble when you dump all your tiles and start over, but I didn't know how to say that.
Kimberly, didn't you mention there was an interview or an article where it was said that even the actors didn't know who done it by the last episode?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I think they were saying that like literally when they only got the next episode script, I think when they started filming the next episode. So like I think maybe episode by episode they didn't know what was going to happen,
That's cool.
which I find interesting, especially when you have to act.
How you have to play it, yeah, both ways.
Mm.
Yeah, exactly.
But like Violet says, they've done a really good job of it.
Yeah.
Could go either way for each of them.
Yeah, maybe that's a good idea for every TV show.
Yeah. And even the screeners, the 8th episode isn't up, right?
No.
I mean, we're only watching them at
Right.
the episode that we're discussing. We don't watch the next episode until after we discuss it. But yeah, the last episode's withheld for now anyway.
Good idea, probably.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, definitely.
I also was just thinking now as well with the Bunny Davis thing and how we're trying to figure out who possibly the second person was. Does anyone else think that they'll be related to what happened to Carolyn, or do you think it might just be another like throwing us off kind of thing, thinking, oh, maybe it will be.
You know, like a red herring.
Yeah.
Well, because we know now, right? It's this guy, Razor.
Yeah.
But I haven't entered him in my head as like remotely the Carolyn murderer, which is really weird.
Yeah, me neither, which is
Yeah,
weird.
that's very odd.
I mean, the date thing connects it again to it.
That's a big deal. Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
something that, what Violet mentioned also, that Razor, like, we're not sure if Razor recognizes Rusty from
Yeah.
Something else.
things happening right now, or maybe
I agree. That sounded, yeah.
from a place where Razor knows Bunny, but also maybe knows Carolyn. Or maybe he knows Carolyn and Rusty because they were on the Bunny case.
Yeah.
He is the murderer. That's why.
Right. You followed it. Yeah.
But then he would have known the name probably.
Why? Right. He knew him. Yeah.
Yeah.
I found it interesting that the guy that's in jail now for Bunny's murder, Liam Reynolds, wouldn't sell out his friend.
The other guy. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Maybe they're just like besties and maybe they just sell him out. But
Razor looks like he could be besties with Liam.
yeah,
I
definitely.
agree.
So maybe that's just the reason.
Yeah, but also Liam, I think, he's torn on whether it's more fun to watch Rusty go down for this, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. He's enjoying that aspect.
It's tempting. It's tempting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He probably would rather watch Rusty go down.
I wonder if Liam could have got, maybe not in this case, but like less time if he had said, oh yeah, someone else was.
I think Rusty implied that, that he would try to help him get
Yeah.
parole or, some kind of a benefit.
Yeah. Which is crazy.
Yeah.
I know that is a crazy thing to do. But like in the scene where he offers that was where Liam recognizes that Rusty is desperate and
Box. Yeah.
yeah, and that he must be accused of it. And he seemed kind of like that was delightful to him to know.
Oh, this is fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I do have a friend.
The other person I was thinking it could be is Michael, her son, but he wouldn't know anything about the hog tying up of the body and stuff.
Michael wouldn't, yeah. Although
Through Kyle, maybe if he knew Kyle.
through Kyle, or if he did visit Carolyn
Saw a file in Carolyn's, yeah.
before and saw the file at her house.
Right.
True. I don't think we can discount anyone at this point, any of the people we've listed.
It would be very hard to believe Barbara, though, like just with her temperament.
Well, right.
I don't think it would be Barbara, although I don't like saying this because, like, obviously small people can do big things, but she seems quite small, like doing that.
Literally because she's small.
Doing that all on her own. You know what I mean? I don't know. It just seems quite difficult.
Yeah. Thank you for saying small people can do big things, Kimberly.
Well, they can. They can. I couldn't fucking hold. I'm way bigger than you are. I couldn't do that. So
No, I couldn't either.
I don't have the strength.
Yeah, no, it's probably a man for multiple reasons. Yeah.
I just feel like if it was a woman too, it would just like, I don't know, the show
Right.
would kind of, I just feel like they have such cool female characters. I just don't want it to be a woman.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, this has been wonderful. Yay for the first 4.
Yay.
All right, I think that's a wrap on our discussion of episode 4. Come back next week for episode 5. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.